Welcome to The Clown is Down, where you can get mad at us for our opinions. This is Keith.
And I'm Pete.
And in each episode, we will be bringing out our innermost feelings about a wide variety of subjects, from action figures to crosswalks,
Movies to beluga whales.
So sit back and give us a listen.
Remember, we're doing this for you.
Double remember, it's just an opinion. Okay, let's go ahead and just start talking here.
Yes.
This is Keith.
And this is Pete.
And we're going to bring you an October episode. We're going to talk about some fun things. And what are we going to talk about?
Spooky stuff. Yes.
Horror movies.
Horror movie killers.
Yeah, the slashers.
Or are we talking about? Yeah, slashers. Classic slashers.
But first,
could you tell me what a slasher is?
Someone that slashes things like prices.
I thought you had that written up. I thought you were.
No.
I thought you were setting me up there, but apparently.
No, actually,
when I was,
page. I went down the rabbit hole. What makes a horror movie and what defines it, real quick. And
all right.
And according to Britannica,
yeah. They're the dictionary people, encyclopedias.
A horror film incorporates physical violence and psychological terror.
All right.
Yeah.
That seems fairly easy.
I am having a shit time of reading my handwriting. These could be studies of deformed or disturbed or psychotic evil characters, mystery thrills that use atmosphere to build suspense.
Like jump scares.
Yeah.
I hate jump scares.
I came across this thing that was had all these elements of horror, and four of them, I think just kind of sums it up: fear, surprise, suspense, and mystery. So here's where I'm gonna start butchering names. One of the very first horror stories that's in history, I think it was from what I found was in 1764 by a guy named Horace Walpole.
Yeah, horse, old horse.
He wrote this book called The Castle of Otranto, a Gothic story.
Okay.
And it's about a haunted castle. And the thing was I kind of read the little synopsis of it, and I was like, oh yeah, is there a movie on that? So I started really looking up, and I only found an adaptation in 1979, and it was this documentary style that used cutouts. You know what I mean? I was like, really? I go, that's the first
adaptation
horror?
the
first, and that's the only adaptation.
Horror, yeah.
So then I was like, well, screw that. Let's go find out what the first horror movie ever made was. And I cannot pronounce it. It's French. Le Manoir du Diable, 1896. It's only 3 minutes long. You just
pissed off all of our French listeners.
Did I? Sorry, guys.
I don't know. I couldn't have pronounced it either.
But it's known in America as the Haunted Castle.
We can just say that.
Or the House of the Devil. But I watched that, and it was pretty cool. There was it was fun to watch that. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, 1896. I was trying to put myself thinking, all right, here I am, 1896. You know what I mean? It's like Red Dead Redemption time.
Get off your horse.
Yeah, I'm on my horse.
Go get a shot of whiskey and you put a penny in the Nickelodeon to watch a horror movie.
And then when I watched it, I was like, I was there, I was like, this probably scared the shit out of these people. At that time.
I mean, the moving pictures alone, or a train going faster than 40 miles an hour,
but definitely
probably terrified those people.
But definitely check it out. And there's a few other ones I found too that were right after that. I'm gonna destroy these names. There was one in 1907. And I think this was I guess you call it Satan at Play. I think that's what it's called. That one was
Amen.
Yeah, that one's maybe that one might have been longer, because a few of these they're all under 17 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was back then. You watched several shorts instead of a feature film.
But there was this one, I'm trying to find in my notes right here. that was like 3 minutes long, and it was like British, and it was like one of the first ones to like, it was trying to do a comedy. So I wonder if that's like the first comedy horror, but it's only horror because at the time it had a skeleton in it or the devil.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just, but you have to think about that time period. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
and I'm sure that they could only, especially back then, their society was a little more prudish back then. You could only show so much. You're not going to show a bunch of murder. You're not going to show devils and skeletons and ghosts, because all of that was pretty taboo back then, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
when did Nosferatu come out? Do you have that?
Oh God, that was like
that was with 27. I don't know.
Oh, we can look that up. Where's my phone? The one I watch every year around Halloween, I'll put it on, is Haxan, Witchcraft Through the Ages.
Huh. Never heard of it.
Absolutely love it. It is, because I truly do love silent films. They're fun. I like the style. I like watching how creative they get with like how to do because you had to use your scenery. You're not.
I like physical effects better than special. I always do.
Basically, all it is like this guy took the manuscripts of like what people said would happen with the devil and all these things, like all the religious text, and he animated it the best he could. So it looks absolutely ridiculous, but that was kind of the point. It was like, but he used all these physical effects, and he made all the sets and like did all this crazy cool stuff. I mean, I love it.
Haxan. All right, cool.
But no, the first American was 1908, the first American horror movie, and it was guess which one it was out of all your classic tales.
You want me to just guess like a ghost or a vampire? Or...
No, you know the name. I mean, you'll know this.
Is it Nosferatu? Not Frankenstein. There's no way it's Frankenstein.
No.
I don't know. What is
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mr. Hyde. Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And I tried to find the 1908 one, but like I found one that was like a little bit after that. So I don't know if it's the same one. And again, it was less than 10 minutes. I can't remember. I watched that one. So the last one of those I watched. There was a few other ones I could not find that were made in 1898 and that were made in Japan. And I was really wanting to see that one. I was like,
yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'm sure those are out there somewhere.
And I could not find that. But the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde was like, it was like, wow, at the time, you know what I mean? I'm sure that just really scared the pants off of people, or they're like just left the theater like, what we want to talk about,
like the big five of the 80s. We had the Universal monsters came out in the 30s and 40s, and those were the big scaries for a while. The Creature of the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, the Mummy. But then we got to the 80s, and the audience they were wanting more. They wanted more gore. The 70s gave us a little treat with gore, and by the 80s, man, it was all over.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, I guess if we're talking about the big 80s slasher guys, let's start with Jason Voorhees. Let's go big right out of the box.
Right.
Everybody knows Camp Crystal Lake. Everybody knows Jason Voorhees. Everybody, the hockey mask is now associated like across the board with murder, because it's not used in hockey anymore. It is literally only associated with murder now.
I think the burlap sack with one eye cut out was way scarier than the hockey mask to me.
Way scarier. Now, the first appearance of the hockey mask was pretty iconic and pretty terrifying. That first appearance. But I agree with you 100%, man. The burlap mask with the one eye is way scarier. Way scarier.
That one, oh God, just a quick story, man. Like I saw part 2. I used to stay at a lake in the middle of nowhere sometimes with my family. Like it was just a great grandmother. You know what I mean? And she lived on her own little farm, and like it was so remote. And I remember like going out there, and I saw Friday 13th Part 2 before we went out there, and I was like, maybe, God, I was young, man. I had a everybody. I had a lot older. I had a brother that was way older,
Yeah.
and he would all these movies we're about to
He
talk
showed
about.
us all sorts of great
Yes,
movies.
he showed us all these movies, and before we probably should have seen them, but
Lots of movies.
yes, and I remember seeing part 2 right before I went to that little like lake farmhouse, and they had that giant propane tank outside, you know what I mean? Because they had to do their own, they had their own propane, and all I kept seeing in the woods at night, I would just stare out the window. Was someone in overalls and burlap sack, and I couldn't.
And that's because that's more real. I mean, because
yeah,
growing up in Georgia, where are you going to get a hockey mask? You're not going to get a hockey mask. Where are you going to get a burlap sack? There might be a few around. I have a favorite Friday the 13th movie. But I loved when Jason went to Manhattan. I thought that was great. Because it was when Jason Voorhees went to New York, it was so much that they kind of realized people are going to stop going to this camp eventually. So much murder has happened here. We have to take Jason out. If we want Jason to continue to murder, we're going to have to take him out of this environment. Where should we take him? Fucking New York City. It was that commercial alone when he's walking down the street and he kicks all the garbage. I love it. I love it. That is not my favorite Friday. Well, I guess technically it's not a Friday the 13th movie. Jason X.
Oh God, I was about to say
it's my favorite because it officially it's the movie with his highest kill count because he blows up an entire city. He kills somebody like while he's still cryogenically frozen. Listeners, if you haven't watched Jason X, please do so. I had the immense luck to see that movie at the drive-in, and I can't tell you, I can't think of a better movie to see at the drive-in than Jason Voorhees in space. It was beautiful.
I am with you on that one because I have a soft spot every time that one comes on. I'm like, oh
yeah, gotta watch it.
The one I think was the worst, and I hate it. God, which is it? Which is the one where I'm trying to figure it out right now? Where it wasn't Jason, it was Jason's soul that kept going body to body.
And that's another thing. I understand they make these movies to make money. I completely get that. I'm on board with that. Good for you guys. But and it's something we kind of touched on when we were talking about doing this episode. I find the real person. I find the idea of a real person that murders completely for no reason much scarier than whenever they introduce some kind of supernatural, MacGuffin into it. I think it's so much scarier when it's just this man is just a killing machine. That's all he wants to do. It's not because he's possessed by an evil spirit or has the boogeyman in his ear. He just needs to murder. And that's way scary. I think it's way scarier.
God, spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. Who cares?
Spoiler free zone. We don't care.
First, it was his mom. It was never him.
Yeah.
And that one was a good movie on its own. Like if I were to pick like 3 of those, I would say 3, 2, 1 is how I would want to watch it. 2, 3, 1, I guess. 3 did have that.
I think with Jason, you could, with Friday the 13th, you can watch them in any order. There's no linear storyline. You're not going to be like, oh, how did he get that machete? You don't care. You don't care. Give him a weed whacker. He's going to chop him up. It doesn't matter. I think with Jason and the Friday the 13th franchise, that is a franchise that you can just watch in any order. You can just watch it. You can put it in and be like, oh man, 8 was great, but man, I haven't watched 3 in a while, so I'm going to watch that one next.
Yeah. And I remember as a kid that scared me really bad. Like I was just
these movies did a number on us.
Yeah, like
because we watched these movies underage, but we probably should not have watched a lot of the movies we watched, and this is.
Which one to go to next? All right, let's jump in. Let's just jump into this one. let's just go to Krueger.
Okay, we'll go to Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
I like Freddy Krueger. I don't like Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, the character is terrible.
Yeah.
I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a fan. For the opposite reason of Jason, because they started with the whole supernatural aspect. They didn't try to weasel it in there. They didn't try to shoehorn anything. They were like, this dude is going to kill you in your dreams. That's what this is about. And so not only were you fighting him in the movie, you were fighting going to sleep. You know, that was a big thing is these kids were trying to stay up and doing whatever they could. You know, they were fighting it on two fronts. So I'm a fan of the supernatural aspect of Freddy Krueger. And dude had some great one-liners. You know,
yeah.
A lot of these slashers we're going to talk about, they're not talkers. They're not, you know, they're doers, not thinkers, you know. But Freddy Krueger, like his whole shtick was he's going to talk the entire time, like almost to the point where you're like, dude, just kill me, shut up and just kill me.
I like Freddy Krueger. I remember seeing that again. I was maybe 10. I saw because and
this is how you wind up in hosting a podcast.
Yeah, and I remember not being, by the time I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, by the time I saw it, I had already seen like Jason. I've seen Joyce Voorhees and Leatherface and Mike Myers. I'd already seen. I was aware, and like to me, he was kind of a joke. Like I just couldn't like. I wouldn't. He didn't scare me. I was just like, oh man, I thought he was cool. Yeah. I was kind of fascinated by him. And
Freddy never scared me. Never.
Yeah, and the only ones I really like out of all those is like I like the first one. I thought it was a great. I thought it was a cool movie. I thought it was a great concept. But I love Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors was the best. Oh, I love that. He sticks the needles in her arm. Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I still get chills thinking about that.
That's why I don't like shots. Is because of Dream Warriors.
Oh, good lord,
little mouths.
Dream
that was a good that was a good sweet spot for the franchise, and I like that Freddy was kind of. You know, you could do a couple of movies with Freddy, you know, because there's a lot of different, because he wasn't real, I guess. I mean, yeah, he's real, but in the sense of the movie, they have to defeat him somehow. But Freddy was one of those. I think Freddy kind of started that. You got me, but I'll be back. There was always a laugh or a wink or something. He always popped up somewhere after they thought they vanquished him. It was like, but did you? And so I like that. And they even continued that on into the Jason versus Freddy thing. I had, you know.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The wink at the end.
Oh my god, I totally just.
I'm not like a huge horror nerd. Like, you know, we have friends who are really into horror movies. I can't sit down and like just churn them out one after the other. You know, I'd rather watch like This Is Halloween Town or. You know, I'd rather watch other movies during Halloween. I like these movies, but I liked them a lot more when I was younger.
When October rolls around and all the stations like Sci-Fi Channel, AMC,
right,
all those, they always play all the ones I don't want to see.
Right,
and it makes me insane. Like
I don't know if they're getting a better rate, of like Halloween or 7. You know, which is great and all, but you know, come on, guys, if you're gonna play the classics, play the classics, play the 1, 2, and 3s from the franchises.
And they always skip the first ones. They generally skip the first ones.
It's got to be a money thing, man. It really does, you know. But nobody plays them. I mean, you'd think like that's why I'm not running a network. Nobody called me. You know, so, I liked Freddy a lot. Like you said, I think it was comedic. It was he is in the big 5 at the slashers, but he is definitely the comedic value of those. You know, there was wasn't there a cartoon maybe at one point? I don't know why I think there's a Freddy cartoon.
But see, that's the other thing. It's like, you know, he was. Like the reason why they murdered him, he was terrible.
Yeah, he was terrible to children. I don't want to get into all that, but he was a bad dude. And that's why
God.
I don't want to enjoy Freddy. I mean,
Yeah.
we know he's a piece of shit, but you know, we don't watch these movies to root for the bad guys. Nobody watches the movies to root for the bad guys. Yes, they've been hurt and they've been wronged, but I mean, you didn't have to go murder a camp full of kids.
And he did, he had the cool the glove was a definite like was very iconic. It was very
right, like the
it was,
mask.
it
Like
was
the
very
mask.
different on a technique on how to kill, like,
Yeah.
kill, so
He wasn't just
it wasn't a
bludgeoning.
machete, it wasn't a
Yeah.
knife.
It was homemade. It felt a little more honest, a little more like he cared about his craft. He cared about his craft.
Yeah.
I like Freddy, and I think he plays well. Like, we've had a lot of reboots of these franchises, and I think Freddy plays well because of that supernatural aspect, that you can drop him into a modern day setting and it's fine. It'd be hard to do some of these in a modern, even the reboot of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes place in like the 70s. It's not rebooted for modern day because honestly, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. But Freddy can just go wherever he wants.
Speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Leatherface
out of all these, Leatherface out of all is the one that scared me the most. In fact, here's the story I've told before is, and I've told many people I know, when I was a kid, the sound of John Larroquette's voice, in the beginning, reading that stuff would make me run to the TV and turn it off. And if I could hear him talking, the more I heard him talking, the more I would remember it. Because Leatherface was
the more anxious you get.
There was one of the first ones that I ever sat through and watched. And this was one, I think I might have been, good Lord,
way too young.
I think I'm about 8 or 9 when I saw that. And
how did you feel when you watched your first episode of Night Court?
Oh,
John Larroquette's on there, and you're like, that voice.
Night Court.
Yeah, I'm a big Night Court fan.
We'll see. At the time, I didn't know it was his voice. I just knew that voice.
Yeah,
when I would
voice.
hear it, because it started out with that him reading, like, in Texas, 1970, and it would be coming on HBO, and I'd be walking through the house, and we'd always leave our TV on, and I'd be walking through the house, and I would hear it from the other room, and I would just be running, because the more I heard it, the more I would start thinking about that scene when he just grabbed him, hung her on the hook, or like,
so good.
Just, oh God, it would just send chills down my spine, man. Like, and it took me years to watch it through again throughout the end of the 80s before I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this with people, but I still like it. It scared the shit out of me.
So I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 before I saw the first one. At your house.
Great.
At your house. And I thought it, and we were way too young to watch it, but I thought it was a masterpiece. I loved every second of that movie, and I'll still put it in anytime, because it's fun. It's not fun. It's all murder. It's all murder, and it's all terrible. But I think that movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I think that was like the first horror movie I ever saw. Like, and sat through and was like, they're straight up just killing these people. That's a lot of blood. And the whole scary thing of them being at the, the radio station and all that.
That was a terrifying scene.
Oh, so,
and there was like,
the hanger, and he's taking the skin off his head. Oh, it's so good.
Good. I watched that. It's funny you said, I watched that a couple years ago. I saw that scene. I just saw that scene only. It was just happened to be on TV, and I caught it, and just catching it just for a minute, it just sent chills to me. Just have some guy like that sitting there talking to you, and that, like, he's not supposed to be there, and he does not look like he's
be there at all.
A cup of water,
yeah,
or he just wants to use the bathroom.
Run the chainsaw on the ice, and so good. So that birthed. Like I said, I'm not a horror movie nerd now, but there was a point where me and my roommate at the time, Schwack, we were very horror movie happy, and chainsaw movies, especially the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, were very high on our list. Even 4, which is not the best at all. At all. But we loved them. We loved watching these movies, and we loved Leatherface is, again, terrible person. But the stories really, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of the first of the big slasher films to really run a continuous story through the movies, and really through the original movies. And then, when they remade them, of course, it was way more important to the story. But, there was that story, that underlying story of the family that really took place over the whole movies. It wasn't just all this murder, gore, chainsaw, cannibalism, everything, Texas life. They were running a story underneath it. And I liked that. I liked the blood and the gore too, because I was a little punk kid and I thought it was cool to like that kind of stuff. But, I appreciated it, I guess. And I appreciate it more now that, they took the time to craft something, and we know people that work in the movie industry, and they really do care about their craft. And I think those people actually were like, hey, we're not just doing this. We're building a world here, And then they made Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, which kind of fucking shot all that in the foot. But,
yeah, a lot of the remakes and the sequels to that, it's just, I don't know if it's just like it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say, well, it was better in my day, but I just
I think they're two different movies. I think
the first one was just, everything seemed real. Like, it just seems so like, it's just like that guy's house. It taught me to, okay, if you break down, you don't go into people's houses. No. You don't ever, you don't know what's in there. You never go into a strange person's house. And
even if the door's cracked open. Who does that? Who does that? No. And I'm not a fan of jump scares. And, we got that. I think jump scare is cheap. I don't want to call it cheap, because I don't want to besmirch someone's craft, because they're doing it to scare people. I just think it's kind of an easy way when you have so much at your fingertips. We've seen these movies made without CGI, with practical effects, and they're fun, and they're still scary. They're still scary. I think jump scares just kind of take away from that a little bit. And I liked the remakes. I did. I thought they were pretty good.
I did. There was one,
but yeah, they're not the originals. They're not what we're talking.
Well, it's like it's going back to thinking about remakes real fast, just like reboot and remakes. It's just that's a whole nother podcast that we need to talk about. Like sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, and like
more times they're not. They're not as good, because we know the source, or we're fans of the source material. And
it's like just trying to go over the top. A lot of times, like, that's one of the big problems I see, is like when I see these remakes and reboots, is like they're trying to go over the top on something, and it just kind of
sometimes
takes away.
Less is more.
Yeah, it just takes away from, like, it's like, hey, Leatherface, what's really terrifying? Freaking someone just sliding a door open and grabbing you, hanging you on the hook, and while you're still alive, he's over there just silently cutting up your friend. I mean, the thought of that, like that scene right there, was like, that was horrible. Like, I remember just seeing that going, oh fuck, and just
and less was more. They weren't showing him cutting into the flesh. There wasn't.
You just knew that's what he was doing
up close. Yeah, it was your brain filling in those gaps. It was your brain going, I know what he's doing, and this is probably what it looks like. I don't know for sure, but your mind starts thinking. Your mind starts, the little mouse starts going on the wheel, and you're like, oh shit. And you're a part of it. You're a part of the cinematic experience at that point.
And the last scene of that, when he's doing the dance with the chainsaw, as a kid, I thought this was like, because of the intro, watching the movie, and the thing, I thought I was watching a recreation of something that actually like everything happened,
because it was kind of grainy as 70s,
and that guy was still out there, and they're like, that was like a warning, like saying that this guy is still on the loose in Texas. And I was like, I mean, I'm locking doors, I'm looking outside thinking he was out there
1,000 miles away. But do you remember that movie when people like were convinced that it was based on it, like it was based on a true story, this happened in Texas? And
was it Night of the Scarecrows?
No, I don't know what, but I remember talking to people going like, "Oh yeah, that's a true story that happened," and I was like, I think we probably would have heard more about that on the news if it happened. The skeptic 10-year-old me was like, I don't know if this is real. I think this might just be a movie.
Yeah.
Oh no, that happened. That happened. There was flesh eating Texans.
I was fully
I don't know,
convinced.
man. I don't know, man.
I was fully
It's
convinced.
scary, but
and those woods by our house, Harbor, they had them.
the woods that backed up to my house.
Yes, that one had. They were there. They were in there.
I saw people walk out of those woods every once in a while. It was pretty sketchy. It was a cut through, but like, what is this person doing? They got a chainsaw.
Oh, Leatherface.
Leatherface is great. The whole family's great. Terrible people, but great movies.
So moving on to let's go to a lighter one that we just won't just because he was there, and it was another different.
He's
creation.
part of it. He's part of the big slasher guys,
and he's about to there. But what's cool is like one thing I like about each one of these is we're kind of each one had a different method.
Yeah,
and
a different feel to it. A different.
So Child's Play.
I'll be perfectly honest. I was never really on board with Child's Play. I have probably seen all of the Child's Play movies, at least like the big ones from the 80s. I don't know if I've ever seen them all at once. I don't think I've ever sat through. Child's Play never really did a whole lot for me. It didn't interest me.
Yeah,
I was, and I'm sure someone more in depth than me can explain why they just didn't put him in a box and maybe bury it,
burn
or
it when
sink it, take it, put it in a box, put it in a steel box, padlock it, and then like dump it in the ocean. Why that didn't happen? He didn't seem terribly fast. I'm sure he was strong enough to stab people. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure all of this got explained. I'm so far removed from Child's Play that he is iconic. Chucky is iconic. He is, you can't look at that redheaded little thing and not see, oh, Child's Play, murderer, doll, my buddy, but
hi, buddy.
Why didn't somebody just kick him? I mean, just kick him out of the way. And I know he's sneaky and he's tiny, and I could have something sneak up on me down here, but I got a box too down here that I think I could take a couple shots from a doll and still get him in the box.
Do you think that, like, I don't know what,
maybe just back my car over him and just sit on him and just be like, I'm going to call the cops now because somebody else needs to deal with this doll in my driveway.
Do you think that movie was made to scare the parents of their kids' toys?
Absolutely not. That movie was made. They said, look, we are making hand over fist with horror movies. We need something else. What about a doll that kills people? And someone in the room said, that's the dumbest fucking idea in the world. And someone else in the room said, you're fired. And they made the movie, and they made billions of dollars. And it did exceptionally well. I will not. Chucky, Child's Play has made crazy money in films, merchandising, everything. I've seen Chucky tattoos. There is a fan base for it. I am not a member of that fan base.
I started liking it later when they started doing shit like Seed of Chucky. Like, because I was like,
but then
it was all about
that
the
means
title.
a doll had sex with another doll at some point, and I just back your car over the doll.
Yeah, he was one of those supernatural ones where like it was a soul of a criminal that went in,
and those are the ones that you can churn out over and over.
Yeah,
because there's no actor that plays Chucky. He's got his voice, but it's still a doll, and at any point you can keep that doll exactly the same over obviously decades and still just churn out movies. And good for them. Good. I'm glad that other guy got fired in that board meeting.
Just to jump on, I want to throw another slasher in here real fast, just because it was in the 90s, and I just want to compare it to Chucky, but one that I just kind of just enjoy. But Leprechaun, like,
I like Leprechaun.
I know that was in the
I'm not gonna
90s,
lie.
but like there's one that's like he's in Vegas, and for some reason, it's like I don't know why, but whenever it comes on TV, I watch it. And I've seen it so
These
many
killers
times.
travel so much.
I know.
Like, and they go to destination places. They're never going to like Des Moines. They go to New York and Vegas.
Yeah,
Screw looking up Child's Play tomorrow. It's all Leprechaun all day. Leprechaun gets around.
Yeah, he travels.
They might travel too much. He's going too many places. That's too much. That's too much. Leprechaun.
I didn't see that one in theater, like the foreign space.
Nobody saw those.
Well,
in the theater.
I would have gone.
This came out way too fast.
But like,
no
it was
one
just
saw those.
It was funny. Like I remember seeing the title and I was like, Leprechaun in space. And I think at that time I was kind of being like a movie snob, like movie. And when as before,
let's be very clear. You don't have to be. You do not have to be a movie snob to not go see Leprechaun in space.
Well, I used to see whatever.
I would go just a human being.
Well, I would just go like see whatever. I would just go every weekend and just see something. And there was a period of time there when I just stopped and like I think that was when I was like, yeah, I'm seeing that. But now me today would be like, oh, see Leprechaun in space. If I had a chance, yeah I'll go check that out in a heartbeat.
Take my $12.
Moving on. So
let's get to number one.
Let's get to number one. The last one we're going to talk about.
I think we both have a soft spot for this guy. Michael Myers.
Myers.
By far my favorite Hollywood slasher killer, movie murderer. Michael Myers is just a death machine, and it's just a blue jumpsuit and a Captain Kirk mask inside out. And God, it's so good. Halloween is so good. Even Halloween 3. I do not
Season of the Witch. Yeah.
I do not dislike. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to keep that name and try to turn it into something else. I don't mind Halloween 3 at all.
I'll watch it because that gives you, what was it? 8 more days till Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
That was
1 through 4 have to be some of the best horror slasher movies ever that will ever be made. I think those are just golden, capture the moment movies. Perfect death machine killer before it got all weird and before it got all, and I know that it gets into my thing that I don't like about being possessed by an evil spirit. Yeah, but he just wants to kill his sister. Just wants to kill his sister. Just the one loose end.
That the first Halloween that was at, what was that? I know we're talking about 80s again, but that was 70s. But like the second,
so it's okay. It's okay. That one flows in. Yeah.
Same with like Leatherface. For me, the first one was perfect. Like it was great. I thought it was great. It was a scary movie. Everything about it was just it scared the shit out of me. Everything about it was just terrifying. I was like, that just a guy standing creeping around the corner. Yeah, absolutely right. But for me, I know this is where we were kind of talking the other day and we were kind of disagreeing about, he kind of got boring to me. And like, I just didn't care for him after one. I like, really? I loved the first one a lot. And like, it was just, I thought it's one of those things where it was like, it was such a good story. And like, it was scary, everything about it. But I feel like they could have just left it alone. But I mean, I know it
really.
Yeah, I didn't.
I thought it progressed so well.
I thought the second one was
I think
okay.
they eventually took it too far. But
yeah,
I thought, Michael Myers originated that whole, I call it the death stroll, where he's just here to kill. He's just here to kill. He's not in any kind of hurry. He's got nowhere else to be. He's just going to walk. You can run all you want. You're going to fall. You're going to twist your ankle. And old Mike, he's just going to keep strolling. He'll get there eventually. And when he does, you're going to die. And I thought that was great. He started the whole faraway gaze, the staring from afar, and you notice him in the back. Oh man, it was so good.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That
like
first movie was just perfect.
The first one could still give me, I could watch it tomorrow and it would give me chills. And I'm like,
And it goes back to the thing we were talking about in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's not a lot of murder in it. There's not, but there's a lot of implied. There's suspense. Suspense. That's what it. Not jump scares. We need more suspense. I think.
Yes,
because
and
you know this is a killer. You know he's there to do murder. He's there to murder, and it's just you're waiting, and then he'll get to it. He's just going to take his time. He's just walking. He doesn't want to pull anything. He's just going to walk.
well, see, and that's where where his story, where it started getting. I just got a little bored with it, like with it, the sequels and stuff, because like it went from being I hadn't even seen the recent last couple.
Watch them.
The last one I think I saw was
them.
H2O. I saw that when it came out, or whatever. I saw the
not H2O. The new ones are
well, I did see parts of the Rob Zombie ones, but I don't know. It's kind
of the new ones basically say that a bunch of those movies don't count, and this is the original Michael Myers.
I could tell you, I remember the exact moment, when I was just like, I thought this about one, I was like, I go, just leave it alone. You know what I mean? To these movies was that one
Michael
where,
alone.
yeah, when he was in the jail cell at the end, the guy in the cowboy hat or whatever breaks him out. I saw it in the theater, and again, brother, take me to that. And I saw that one, but I was older then. But like I wanted to see it because I was like, yeah, Halloween. So, I remember seeing it at the end, and I go, what? And then that's when they stopped making them for a while. And but the whole idea, well, in the beginning, it was just him coming after his sister. He's just getting out of jail because that's all he knew. And then all of a sudden, it's turning into, I'm going after
you can hit him with a car.
The whole family. No, I'm just like his motive is just like to go after the whole family.
It didn't make any sense. And that's why they gave him that whole, oh, he's evil. I was like, no, like he had a thing, man. And it worked. Just keep having her get away. It works. Have Lori get away and have him kill everybody that gets in his way of getting to her. You've got your end of your franchise. Either she's going to kill him or he's going to kill her. You don't have to add in all this other stuff. It's not necessary. But again, nobody called me.
Yeah,
I'm not one person. Phone didn't ring once.
And I'm not saying that I don't like him, because like I said, I think that first movie is just like
lightning in a bottle, man.
It's great.
So good.
It's like it was all the after, the more it kept going on, and just finding more family members trickle down. And I'm like, doesn't he age like that supernatural thing?
Yeah. And that was part of it. He had that mask and he had the jumpsuit, so you didn't really know how old he was. When all of it starts. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is pretty young when it starts, and so you don't really know how old Michael Myers is. You don't see his progression as much. So I think that helped with the whole thing.
Yeah, that first one, man, was so good. That when he was standing there in the bushes and he just kind of ducks around the corner, or when he's out in the yard behind
that iconic that him by the bush is probably one of the most iconic images of these horror slasher movies. Like, great Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the family portrait, and the hockey mask, and Freddy's glove and all that. But Michael Myers by that bush, I think everybody knows that. I think that freaks everybody out a little bit, because he's just watching. He's standing in the middle of everything and nobody paying any attention to him. Hands down, of all the movies we've talked about, best soundtrack. The Michael Myers theme.
He does have a great theme.
The piano is the best. It's the best. Freddy got some hair metal. Jason's got the breathing and all that. Michael Myers has a soundtrack, and it's instantly identifiable. You play those little notes on the piano, and everybody goes, "Oh, Halloween."
Did Leatherface have a score in that movie? Or was it just a chainsaw?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's just the cranking of the chainsaw. I don't think. I'm sure it did. It has to, but I don't think there's anything where you could identify it as.
Yeah, just when you were saying that, when you were saying all those, I was trying to think of like what his was, and I think it was just the humming of the chainsaw in the distance.
I
I want to
would
go
think,
watch that now.
I would think just like the crank, like the pull crank of a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And then Chucky, who knows? It's probably a squeaky toy or some silly shit. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, just back over him. Just park your wheel right on top of him.
There you have it.
Who's your clown down for? Which slasher?
Oh, my favorite. Oh, Leatherface.
Leatherface. Your clown is down for Leatherface.
Oh, he's my favorite.
I gotta say, my clown is down for Michael Myers.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, Mike. There we go.
Oh, and if I had to put it in any kind of order, mine would be of all we talked about. I would put Leprechaun Chucky, even though Leprechaun wasn't. No, 5, as in 5.
Oh, you're starting at the bottom. Okay.
What's his name? Freddy Krueger.
Right.
Then Michael Myers, then Jason Voorhees, and then Leatherface because
Leatherface is fun. If I had to rank these movies we discussed from worst to best, I would say 5, of course, would be Chucky because he's the dumbest of the group, and then it would be everybody else after that, and no discerning order because they're all better than Chucky.
Yeah, there you go.
You think we're wrong, or you think our clown should not have been down, let us know why. Let us know why we're wrong, or you think we're wrong, because remember, these are our opinions.
That's right.
What was the 5th?
Yeah, I kind of tried to X that out when I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. Forget it. 4 is great. That's an awesome number of things to put in a definition.